And those of you who have Sfaria, it's number 19. Those of you who don't, it is somewhere just before the end. The color is terrible. What can I do? It adjusts, and there's a little spot in there that's not very good. Okay, so just to do a recap. Recap is going to be really, really quick, and that is that what is it that we were created for? We weren't created to just sit in this world and do whatever we want to do. We were created in order to bring Hashem into this world. And the way that we do that is through the mitzvot. It's going to be what Hashem has given us to do. We are different from every other creature. Every other creature has a life, but it doesn't have a neshama. We have both life and we have neshama. Vayipach ba'akav. Hashem blew kedusha. Hashem blew his spirituality into the nostrils of the human being. This is not just Jews. This is Jews and every human being. All human beings have the obligation to recognize Hashem through the Sheva Mitzvot B'nai Noach, through the 7 Noachide laws. It's incumbent on them to follow the 7 Noachide laws. If they don't, then they are not fulfilling their tafkid, their purpose in this world. We as Jews have the 613 mitzvot, because each step by step, is showing us where to go and how to go. So we're going to start with, let me just get this in mind also, 19 in Mesillat Yesharim. And we're going to take turns reading so that everybody is a part of it. Yes. In a word. So 19. Marilyn, should we start with you and we'll go?
Furthermore, if the purpose of man's creation were for the sake of this world, it would not have been necessary to imbue him with such a lofty and exalted soul, greater even than the angels themselves.
Okay. Why is the human being greater than an angel?
Because we have multi-purposes as opposed to we have free will. They're given a mission, take care of that for them.
Right. Every malach is a mission. It's not an apparition with wings and a halo and a white gown. A malach can be a wind. It can be a blade of grass growing. It can be a mission that Hashem has given it. Sometimes a malach is going to look like a human being. Sometimes it will look like an obstacle in our path. It can be anything, but it has a particular mission. Once that mission is over, that's it. That malach disappears into the ether, into wherever it came from, in order to await the next order for that particular object that it has. But we as human beings are multi-purpose. We do everything. We are able to choose what we do and what we don't do. And therefore, we are responsible for everything that we do. I have to find this in mine. So, okay. I know where we are. Okay. Carry on. Bunny, you want to read?
Especially so when the soul finds no satisfaction whatsoever from all the pleasures of this world. This is what our sages teach us in Midrash Kohelet.
Kohelet, which is one of the books that Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, wrote.
Thank you. But the soul will not be fulfilled. Kohelet. What is this analogous to? To the case of a common peasant who married the king's daughter. Even if you brought her all that the village possessed, it would be as nothing to her, for she is the king's daughter. So too with the soul. If you would bring to her all the pleasures of this world, they would be like nothing to her, for she is from higher worlds.
Okay. So in other words, our soul, I'm still not finding it in my sefer yet. Our soul is very, very special in that we have a special we come from the palatial household. We come from that place where we we have special tafkidim, we have special jobs to fulfill. This world is a world that anybody can take care of. Anybody can benefit by. Anything can do whatever it is that they want to do. We have purpose. We have purpose with every breath that we take. We have purpose with every action that we perform, because that purpose brings us closer to the perfection that Hashem wants from us. And so um, okay, carry on, Sherry.
Likewise, our sages of blessed memory taught us, against your will were you formed, and against your will were you born. I'll vote for 22. For the soul does not love this world at all. On the contrary, it despises it. If so, certainly the Creator, blessed be his name, would never have created something for a purpose which is against its nature and despised by it.
Okay, so every before the Medrash tells us that before the soul is put into the body, the soul screams and cries and says, "Don't put me in. Don't take me out of my place of spirituality. Don't make me go into this world of physicality." Then the child is born. As the child is born, so as and time evolves, we realize our purpose, and we begin to really enjoy this world, not just the physicality of this world, but also our job and our climbing the ladder of Ruchniut, climbing the ladder of spirituality. And when it comes time for us to die, what is it that we say? Don't take me away. Give me another day. Give me another week. Give me another year. I'm here to do something. I'm just getting to it. Please don't take me out of this world. So, but we come in with our hands clenched, screaming and shouting, and we go out as we have to leave hold of everything that we've left in this physical world.
Is that when you mentioned that the soul doesn't really want to go into the body because it's spiritual, because it learned the Torah? I mean, in the womb,
no, that's the Torah in the womb. That's even before
okay.
that. That's after the soul is already in the womb. And then it learns the Torah. Then it becomes a creation,
so that's
a formation,
even before it goes
even before it goes into the body,
so
into
before
the womb.
conception, basically.
Before, because a bat kol, an emanation comes out before a soul goes into to be with its mother and says, it's this soul that's going to be with this family. We often say that this is about, we call that every zivug, every coupling is divinely ordained. And for the most part, we think that that is our coupling in marriage. In actual fact, it's the coupling of the fetus that goes into the womb of the mother and is raised in the family that it's raised in. That's what it's talking about, that this is Zivug Rishon. It's the first coupling. The second coupling is marriage. The first coupling, there's nothing you can do about it. You're born to whom you're born. You are who you are. You are with the family that you were put into. You can't divorce your family. That is your DNA is from your family. Everything that your looks could be from your family. Your hair color could be from your family. that is your first zivug. That is your first coupling. Your second coupling is the coupling between husband and wife. The coupling between husband and wife is not, it's not like the nations of the world say that which God's put together cannot be pulled asunder, and they refer to that as marriage. Marriage can be broken. That's where we're allowed to have divorces, because Hashem said that second zivug, that's the second zivug, that second coupling is the coupling between that we do of our own free will. Our first coupling being put into the family that we're in, that Hashem has done with a particular purpose. The purpose in that is, and we have to find that purpose. He knows what that purpose is. He knows what we can do through that coupling that we're in that first zivug, in that being born into a particular family. We have to find it out. So and that's the neshama that goes into the womb of the mother. The womb of the mother then feeds that fetus. The fetus is completely enveloped and nurtured and nourished by that surrounding. In the same way, this world is like a fetus, and we are in this world, and we're getting what our needs from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yeah. So just as the fetus inside the mother is totally dependent upon the mother, that is how we are with Hashem. If I were to ask you to draw a picture, where are you as opposed to where Hashem is in this world? Just think for a second how you would what description you would have of that picture. I'll give you a second, and then I'll tell you about it. And this is again from Esther Ween. She says, okay, some of you will have a little tiny self and a big nebulous ball around you, or you might be outside of the ball and very small, and a big picture of someone, a stick picture of someone inside the ball. Really, what we are is a large person inside a large stick figure inside the round, because we are inside Hashem. It's not that Hashem is outside of us and we look for every part. This is all. Everything that we're experiencing is Hashem. And therefore, it's like we are in the womb and we are nurturing ourselves through the auspices that Hashem gives us, through that nourishment that Hashem gives to us. Each and every one of us benefits from that at every minute of our day. And we shouldn't think that we are some little insignificant creature, some insignificant stick figure that is outside or to the side of, or we each have our place. We each have what Hashem wants us to accomplish. He knows what we want to, and we have to strive to know it.
So if we don't know what we want to strive, I mean, then we're just not going to know.
We keep working at it.
No, but you know what was really coming to mind? And said we're all made in the image of Hashem, yeah? And Hashem, we are inside
In that
Hashem.
we have, and you're right, and in that we are part of spirituality.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm just thinking about people who don't behave well. And so they're all part of Kol Yisrael. I mean, and they're all part of that. I'm struggling a little bit there with that.
Okay, so Rabbi Akiva says that the Torah says that a person can do shuv yom echad lifnei motecha, do teshuva a day before your death. You don't know when your death is going to be. You do teshuva every day. But there is such a thing as a person has earned his place in Olam Haba a second before dying. So when in the Asara Haguruge Malchut that we read about the 10 martyrs that we read about on Yom Kippur, one of them is Rabbi Tarfon, who was wrapped in a sefer. The Sefer Torah was wrapped around him, and they put a piece of wet cotton wool on his heart so that he would last longer. when the Roman centurion who did this to him saw the love with which he said, I accept everything that you are giving me, Hashem, and I am doing what you want, and this is my role in my life. He said, how could it be that a person who is in such pain can have that kind of love for someone for an entity that didn't save him from this and still love that entity? And he rolled up into the fetal position and did teshuvah. And there was a bat call that came, an emanation came from heaven that said, this man has earned his place in Olam Haba, in the world to come.
So that was a unique individual who saw,
but every one of us can. We have the wherewithal. The tools are given to us. We have to open our eyes to recognize it. Okay, now you can ask.
I'm not referring to myself, of course.
No.
But I'm just saying generally, we come across people who are not pleasant and don't do, things that we feel, I'm looking after you and you're not setting yourself as a role model for me. So, and and yet and I know that's why we're all one, because Hashem is in all of us. So that's why we're.
So number one,
I think you know what I'm asking.
So we have to number one, we have to look at ourselves and only ourselves.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, everything, and we're going to read it in a couple of minutes. Everything that Hashem wants us to do, we are given that option to do. We might not recognize it immediately. It might come time and again. If I have to work, if a person has to work on their midah of chesed, and instead of the opportunity to give tzedakah comes, let's say the person has stumbled on a check that's fallen out of somebody's bag, and he looks at it and says, okay, finders keepers, losers weepers. What is the Jewish way of doing it? I'll give you an example. A young girl was in BJ's somewhere, and she found it was an electronic, whether it was a cell phone or a small iPad. She went up to the counter and she said, I found this and I want to know how I can find who the owner is. And the person at the counter said to her, you have to bring an adult with you. You can't just come up and give this to me. And she said, I just found it in your store. Can't you find who this belongs to? And the clerk said, go away, little girl. Basically, that's what he said. And she tried several times. Most people would say, I found that. It's an electronic device. It costs $100.
It's mine.
It's mine. So we have the opportunities that the person didn't take the opportunity to better themselves. Who says that a similar type of situation might not come time and time again? And maybe one day that person is going to say, you know what? Maybe I should find out who this belongs to. Maybe that would be the right thing to do.
Can I share a nice story with you?
Yes.
Along those lines.
Please.
So, I don't quite know, it's regarding David, and I was quite amazed. So, he found some money in an envelope and what to do with it. So he posted all around, I found an envelope with some money, please come forward, to claim it. And nobody came forward. And then sometime later, somebody said to him, it was his money, actually. He'd forgotten he got paid for doing, like a mashkia job or something. But he saw it was in his pocket. And he says, that's not mine. Forgetting that was payment for him. I was like, really
Interesting.
kind of, isn't that? I was like, because how would you?
That was actually his money.
It was his money,
Ah.
but it was cash. It was not like, a check, you person down. But then what was so beautiful is nobody stepped forward either. So it was like
Interesting.
a beautiful, from both ends.
And then he could realize, but that's exactly it. We're given an opportunity. I don't remember what it is. He didn't remember what it was, and so he was going to find. And it's a lesson for the neshama.
Mm-hmm.
It's later on in what we're going to read. It's likened to we in this world we have opportunities. The opportunities are like an orchard full of the most beautiful fruit trees. Now, we can do one of two things with that orchard. We can just neglect it and let it run to seed, or we can take good care of it, and then we have all those fruits, and we take those fruits and we sell them on the market, and we make a lot of money. And then, let's say we're in Eretz Yisrael, and Shemitah comes, and we say, you know what, Hashem is going to provide for me because I'm going to keep Shemitah in the right way, and I'm not going to, I'll open my gates, and it'll be hefker, it'll be free for anyone to do with as they please. And so he's taking advantage of that magnificent orchard. But we can do the opposite as well. And the opposite would be that we would say, you know what, this is mine. Hashem gave it to me, and therefore I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to make money out of it. And we have the opportunities. And that's what the Ramchal is telling us.
So there was a story that somebody went, let's see, like Friday, to buy stuff for Shabbat.
Yeah.
So he went to the supermarket and he bought what he needed and he put it, in. And then somebody approached him and said, I have nothing for myself for Shabbat. Can you give me? That person didn't have that much money a lot too. So he said to him, do you have some money to give me? So he said, I'm really sorry, but I have no money to give you because I don't make much money either. And I know the only thing I can do is, you see, my card full with stuff, I can split this with you. So that's what I can do. So I said, go get something, whatever I bought. 2 chickens, you get 1, whatever. So, and he split the stuff there. So he went home and like his wife, like, I gave you like a list. What's happened? Like, where's all the stuff that I asked you to get? And he said, he told her the story. This is what happened. I was in the supermarket and met a fellow man and I had nothing to give, so I split it with him. And that was like the end of the story. Later on, God forbid, something happened to him, to this guy. He got heart attack, something, I don't know. And he like recovered because of the doctor says like in his condition, he won't survive. So and he recovered right in the merit that what he did before. Like he actually split the stuff with him. So like from heaven, it's like that was so now he's like wife got like,
It's a miracle. Yeah, kind of thing.
So it's a miracle, but yet it's not the miracle. It's
It's
that
like-
we are
Right, right.
that we're given that
extra.
yeah, like he earned like
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
that opportunity, and because we took that opportunity.
Because that's me, I think.
Oh.
Because his action was truly a miracle. I mean, it's so beautiful. I mean, it's like
because we're all responsible for each other. So
Mhm.
it says like, when you say like in Shmona, say Chatanu Avinu Pashanu, you don't say Chatati Aviti Pashati, just me. So then think like all those rabbis that doing all the good things, so they say Chatat, Chatanu, so they didn't do anything, so they're taking this for somebody else. That's why we're responsible for each other. So it's not only for our action, it's for somebody else's action.
Right.
right, beautiful.
Thank you. Very beautiful. So we have the opportunities. We're given the opportunities. It's up to us
What
to
to do with
make
it.
it. That's the proviso. Okay, let's.
Oh, me?
Mhm.
I lost my spot. Where were we?
We're
Was
on
it-
22.
Rather, man's creation was for his state in the world to come. Therefore, this soul was placed in him, for it befits the soul to serve God, and through it a man will be rewarded in proper time and place. Thus, this world will not be something despised to his soul, but rather beloved and cherished by it. This is evident.
Okay, so in other words, every person is, and that's exactly what we were talking about. Every person is given the opportunity. We have to take that opportunity as it comes to us. And we have to do the best with the opportunity instead of being, we can do things grudgingly, or we can do it with a full heart. We're given that choice, and it's for us to make the best of it. It's Hashem has given it to us. He's put it right in our way. We can do what we have to do or not, and it's all up to us.
I have my
You have no
English.
English. So we're back to you.
Okay, behold, after knowing all this, we will immediately realize the grave obligation of the commandments upon us and the preciousness of the divine service which lies in our hands. For these are the means which lead us to the true perfection. Without them, this state will not be attained in the least.
Okay. So what we're given is not just spirituality. We're also given material things. All the material things that we have in this world, if we use them in order to be closer to Hashem, then we're doing what we have to do. If we take them and say, I am just going to languish in all of this materialism that I have at my fingertips, and I'm just going to keep everything for myself, we're not doing what we're supposed to do. Again, he's taking this idea. He takes an idea. I love the way he does. Ramchal does it. He takes an idea and he looks at every innuendo of the way that we can either do it, take it in the right way, or take it in the way where it's going to ruin us. It's our responsibility. It's not Hashem's responsibility. He's given us every one of the tools. He's given us everything that we can do. He's given us the power of having the emtsayim, the means with which we can do whatever we need to do. So if we don't have the wealth, maybe there's something else that we have that the next person does not have. And therefore, I work with that. So it means really, what he's really saying is that it's up to every single person to look into themselves and say, what did Hashem invest within me? What did Hashem give me that is unique to me?
It's such a blessing too.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And let me take that blessing and let me make it into the greatest that I can make it into. It's up to us. It's not up to Hashem. He's given us all the tools. The emtsayim, the means, are the tools with which to do it. The wealthy man, and I think we told the story of Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, who was wealthy beyond belief. And he made a siyum every day because he finished another part of Torah. And so he invited everybody in the city into his home. He touched barely a morsel, but he shared with everybody else. And every action that he did was an action that was necessary. He did not do anything just because. could be that you were all there when I told the story that Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi was friends with the emperor, and the emperor said to him, "You are more wealthy than I am. I have lost almost all my money." And one day, as he needed money desperately, and he had to pay his entourage, he had to pay his people, and he sent his servant to Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi and said, "Ask Yehuda Hanassi what I should do." He thought, if I ask him what I should do, maybe he'll give me a loan, and then I'll be able to go on from there. So Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi took the courier into his garden, and he said to him, "I will give you a branch of my tree." And he bent down and he dug a piece of the branch out and he gave it to the servant. And when the servant came back, the courier came back to the emperor. He said, "So did you get a loan?" And the courier said, "He didn't offer a loan." "What do you mean he didn't offer a loan? Did you ask him?" He says, "I told him that you needed money and that you were more wealthy than he." So then the emperor said, "What did he do?" So he said, "Well, he went immediately into his garden and he started digging." And the emperor thought for a minute and said, He went through his entire retinue and he cleaned out, he made a clean sweep of all of his servants who were robbing him blind. And once he had done that, and he hired with more chachma, with more wisdom, being more cognizant of whom he had to hire, then he began to prosper once again. Every action that Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi did was an action that was for another step of doing what Hashem wanted him to do in this world. Yes, he could have given the emperor a loan, and the emperor would have taken the loan and used it up because he had crooks in his palace. When Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi showed him, "You need to get rid of these people," then he could stand on his own 2 feet. We are like the whether we're the emperor, where Hashem gives us, he shows us in little ways. So when things happen and we say, "Well, this isn't good," obviously I need to think about what is it that we should be doing and how that we should, what is Hashem showing us in what has happened here. Sometimes we can't figure it out, so we have to go to someone who's a Gadol Hador, who's a Chacham, who's a wise person in our generation, and say, "This and this has happened. What do I do with it?" There's a story that's lurking in the background. It's not coming to me right now. Okay, so let's carry on.
You keep a long list of stories, don't you? Let me tell you about that.
23.
23.
Oh no, you just did 23, so it's 24.
It is known that a purpose is not attained without the combined contribution of all the means found and employed to achieve it. According to the capacity of the means and their use will be the resulting achievement of purpose, and any slight deviation found in the employed means will be very noticeable in the end result derived from their combined contributions. This is self-evident. First of all, you're going to be able to read the sentence. All right, let me get that.
Okay, so you were meant to read number 25.
Oh, sorry about that. It was obvious, therefore.
No, I think I didn't read that.
No,
You didn't read that one?
That was the
Okay, I
first time
thought
I
that
read
was,
it. No.
okay.
Yeah,
So-
I don't remember.
So that was, okay. So in other words, we're given those tools. And if we try to do something and it's just not working, then instead of kicking it down the street and saying this is a piece of rubbish. We have to say, why is this happening? What's going on? What do I need to think about? What do I need to know in order to do what I need to do? So if we take a particular job and it's not working as well as it should be working, let me restock. Let me think about this. Is this where I should be now? Maybe it was good for me 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Maybe I've outgrown this. Maybe there's something more that I need to, or different that I need to do. Or if there's something that's just not working at home, I'm not saying throw the husband out or throw the kids out. I'm saying if there's a situation that comes up in different ways, then we have to sit up and take notice and say, what's Hashem telling me? Because we can, if we put our minds to it, if we think about it, and it's also why we use Das Chacham, and we speak to a Talmud Chacham, somebody who's a Rav, somebody who knows them. Someone was asking me something the other someone was asking me, well, if I come upon a particular situation, how would you do this? And I said, you know what? This is beyond my pay grade. You need to go and talk to the rabbi about it, because we have to go to the people that Hashem puts in our paths, the people who know, the people who study, the people who can help. And sometimes Hashem gives us the possibility to make ourselves into that person that is going to be able to help. And then when we do that, we are then the ones who can help other people. Each time a door opens, we have to examine it very carefully and say, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? If it's what I'm supposed to be doing, how should I be doing it? If this is the step I should be taking, how should I be taking it? And evaluate what we're given, because everything that we're given, every detail that we have, and there was just something, every detail that we have is like that orchard that's in front of us. We have to know that it wasn't just planted there. It wasn't just the offer for us didn't just happen to come. There's something that we can do with it. What should we do with it? And we have to think about it. Think about it every day. What did I do today? How did I do it? Should I be doing this? If this comes up again, how should I face it? What is it and we can do that. Remember that someone said that she was cleaning out she was about to launder her son's shirts, and she went into the pockets. She was a better man than I am, because I never go into anybody's pockets. And she found a list that said, I mustn't get angry. I must be much calmer. And the person that she was talking about was someone who became a Rav in communities, and to whom people go now in our day, because he took those steps to make himself into a better person. We have that at hand. We're inside the womb. Hashem is giving us that which we need in order to nurture our neshama, so that we become that best that we are.
It doesn't always mean that we're going to succeed the first time.
Doesn't mean we're going to succeed the first time.
Or the second, necessarily. But we keep trying.
But we keep trying. And that's why there's teshuvah. I did the wrong thing, Hashem. I did the wrong thing. I know that it was wrong. I got angry. And I know I'm not supposed to get angry. And I'm going to try and give myself little pieces, little hints, so that I don't fall into that trap again. We each know how we respond to our own inner head responses. And we have to take those and we have to think about them. Once a day, we have to think about them, because it's Shuv Yom Echad Lifnei Motechet. just do teshuvah one day before you die, which means every single night. There's a beautiful prayer, I don't know if you know it, that we say before we say Kriyat Shema, before we say Hamapil. Magnificent prayer. I have to remember
It
what
also
this
reminds me
is.
of the rabbi who came from Atlanta, that every time he doesn't, it might be the last time he has a conversation with Hashem. Same thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll just get this up. It's most beautiful. It says, Ribono Shel Olam, Hashem, I forgive every person
Oh, yeah, I read
that
that.
made me
Can
angry.
we say this?
Yeah, I read that.
Bedtime?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. I
It's
do
in the
that.
bedtime.
Yeah,
Yes,
story.
it is. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You said it was a prayer before, but that's part of it.
No, so after that is the bracha of Hamapil.
Yeah,
After you
right.
say the bracha of Hamapil, you can't talk anymore because you've made a bracha that you're going to fall asleep. You have to fall asleep. But if within half an hour to 45 minutes you're not asleep, then you're released from that obligation and you'll have to say it again. But this is an opportunity that we get every single night.
Mhm.
Maybe I did something by mistake. Maybe I did something on purpose. Maybe it wasn't in this Gilgul, in this what's the English for Gilgul, this round of lifetimes that
And
I've
this,
been in.
where they use
Incarnation.
Incarnation.
Or, yeah,
Yes.
they use that word, similar word too. They use.
Maybe it was from another time, but whatever it is, okay, well, there's something that I want to say in a later one, but we'll get to that later. But we have that opportunity every single evening to ask to be forgiven for those things that we might have done, and for those inadvertent faux pas that we've made during the day or during the week that we really want to make amends for. Okay, what are we up to? Number one.
25.
Okay. All right. Who's Sherry?
It is obvious, therefore, that we must be meticulous to the utmost degree in the manner of observance of the commandments and the service of God, just as the merchants of gold and precious gems are meticulous to the utmost precision in weighing them due to their precious value. For the fruits of the commandments are the true perfection and the eternal preciousness, of which there is nothing more precious.
Okay. In other words, everything that we've been given, every mitzvah that we've been given, we should look at as a diamond or a pearl or gold. How careful are we with our diamonds and our pearls and our gold, where we take them off and we put them where we know we're going to find them again, where we know that we want to clean them and keep them beautiful and shiny, and we want to just make the best of them and do it in the best way. Every mitzvah has to be like that. Every mitzvah should be like that diamond or that precious stone that we have, that we so treasure, because we are given those mitzvot to enhance our own selves. And we can do that through being through the care that we take in every mitzvah. So in the story of when we told about when Noach came out of the Teva and he planted a vineyard and then became inebriated, and his three sons came. One of them took a corner of the sheet and walked backwards so that he could cover his father and never looked back. He was so very careful. And because he was so very careful, he was the one whose descendants received the Torah. That was Shem. Shem was the one who, and Shem and Ever were the two Talmidei Chachamim, the two scholars who taught Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And they taught them how to find those precious gems within themselves. Abraham to enhance his chesed, and yet not hold back when Hashem tells him that he has to sacrifice his son. Yitzchak, who is so strict with himself, Yitzchak, who was the perfect sacrifice, who said, bind my hands more tightly so that I don't move and I'm not a flawed sacrifice, had to find the chesed within himself to give the bracha to Yaakov and to accept from Rivka, which was very important, to accept from Rivka that she understood which of the children should get which of the brachot. And Yaakov, who took truth to its highest realms, and when Hashem said to him, Lavan is swindling you, and therefore you have to do things that are going to keep him from making a shmata out of you. Torah doesn't quite put it that way.
That's good.
And he was schooled in the way to move through so that whatever he did brought glory to the way that he behaved. For this he had the help of Leah, who was completely spiritual and whom Yaakov needed in order to be able to have a Jewish nation who takes the splendor of truth and uses it for its spiritual purposes, and the Rachel, who is the everyday practical person. My sister is going to be embarrassed. She will be mortified. How do I allow her to be mortified? That table turned. When Leah found herself pregnant after she had given Rachel the dudaim, the what are they? It's a condiment.
Like a seed.
Cardamom. I think it is cardamom. But she gave that, and she fell pregnant, and Rachel did not have a child yet. Yosef was supposed to be Leah's child, and Leah davened to Hashem and said, I have 4 sons. Give my sister at least the 2 that everyone else has. Make my child a daughter, and let her child be the son. The tables were turned. Where Rachel was the one where Rachel is the one who's buried outside of Eretz Yisrael, so she can be there, so that Bnei Yisrael, when they come there, can cry to Rachel Imenu, and Rachel Imenu can go to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, how can you do this? I gave the signs to my sister. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Mini kolech mi bechi, stop crying, and ve'einayich midima, and stop calling out and stop crying, because yesh schar lifulatech, I'm going to reward you for your actions, and your children will return. We needed the Rachel and we needed the Leah. We needed the practical with all of the chesed, the practical with the chesed and the spirituality, and we needed the spirituality with the strength and the kindness. We needed all of those. Hashem gives that to us. We all have that as part of our heritage from Klal Yisrael. We always have that as part of our heritage as Klal Yisrael. We have a piece of each of the avot in us, a piece of each of our patriarchs and of each of our matriarchs,
Right.
which is the midah, which is the characteristic that best defines me. How do I take that and bring it to its utmost? Not forgetting the other characteristics that are just as important. That's what we have. And that's what Hashem gives us by giving us the Torah. The Torah defines who we are through each one of the mitzvot. And there's a way of seeing how each of the mitzvot talks to, as it were, different midot, different characteristics within us. And that's what we have to
Can you
practice
just give me a quick
learning.
example? Okay.
Okay.
Outside my house.
Oh,
What's outside your house?
Rachel, I did, because she usually would go in there, and I said I'd be home if you want to come over to my house. I just texted her and said, "Are you coming tonight?" She said, "Yes, I'm here." I'm like, "Okay."
Okay.
Sorry. Kiss you.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm just going to answer
Yeah.
answer Bonnie.
Okay.
Tzedakah.
I'll talk to
Oh,
you
okay,
in a
okay.
Okay, tzedakah is one thing.
Right.
Honoring someone who is older than you.
But hold on, I'm just
Lifnei
trying to
Seva
think, why did
Tikkun.
I ask that question? You said
Because I
was it-
said that there's a little piece of all of the avot within
Yeah,
us,
exactly.
with all of the avot and
Oh,
imahot.
so, okay, right.
So respect for others.
Mhm.
Well, that's being strict within myself, but for you, I will give you all the honor. I will give to you. For me, I will hold it. Don't stand up for me. I'm not. But for you, of course, I have to stand up for you. So it's
Okay, right. Right, thank you.
we have all of these pieces that we can, of the avot and the imahot, the patriarchs and the matriarchs, that we can develop within ourselves.
So we have just a little of
Little
them
bit of-
all.
Yes, we have a little bit of everyone within us.
So when we say Shema Esrei, and the first they say the first bracha,